It was built to conquer mountains, a 1.2 million pound giant of steel and steam that ruled the rails in an era of titans. For decades, the idea of the world's largest operating steam locomotive crossing the entire American continent was nothing more than a railfan's dream. But now, for America's 250th anniversary, the impossible is about to happen. In 2026, Big Boy 4014 will embark on its first ever coast-to-coast tour, a journey that will unite the nation and make railroad history. In this video, we'll reveal the historic significance of this trek, the key challenges the locomotive was built to overcome, and the incredible original engineering that makes this colossal journey a reality. To understand the magnitude of the 2026 tour, you first have to understand the machine. The story of Big Boy begins in a time of global crisis. It's the late 1930s, and the world is on the brink of war. Union Pacific, one of America's mightiest railroads, faced a daunting logistical challenge. Hauling immense loads of material over the treacherous Wasatch and Sherman Hill mountain ranges in Utah and Wyoming. The existing locomotives were struggling, often needing multiple engines to drag heavy freight trains up the steep grades, a process that was slow and inefficient. Union Pacific needed a new kind of power, a single, massive locomotive that could pull a 4,000-ton train, unassisted, over these punishing mountain passes. They turned to the American Locomotive Company in Schenectady, New York, with requirements that pushed the boundaries of engineering. The result was a machine of unprecedented scale, the 4884 Big Boy. 25 of these Titans were built exclusively for Union Pacific, and the first, number 4000, was delivered in 1941, just months before the attack on Pearl Harbor thrust the United States into World War II. The name Big Boy itself is legendary, as one of the first locomotives was being assembled. An unknown Alco worker scrawled the name in chalk on the massive smoke box. The name stuck, a fitting moniker for the largest steam locomotives ever built. These engines were designed for one brutal task: to conquer the 1.14% ruling grade of the Wasatch Mountains. For nearly 2 decades, they were the undisputed kings of the rails, playing a vital role in the Allied victory. Hauling everything from tanks and artillery to food and fuel, Big Boy 4014 alone traveled over 1 million miles in its service life. But even for giants like the Big Boy, the era of steam was destined to end. The rise of more efficient diesel-electric locomotives in the 1950s marked the beginning of the end. By the late 1950s, the Big Boys were being retired, one by one. Number 4014 completed its final revenue run in July 1959 and was officially retired in 1961 after logging 1,031,205 miles. The Titan's fire went out, and for nearly 60 years, it sat silent. After its retirement, Big Boy 4014 was donated to the Rail Giants Train Museum in Pomona, California. There, under the warm Southern California sun, it became a silent monument to a bygone era. For rail fans, it was a pilgrimage site, a chance to stand in the shadow of a legend. But it was a static display. The idea of ever seeing a Big Boy run under its own power again was considered pure fantasy. The costs were too high, the technical challenges too great, and the specialized knowledge seemingly lost to time. Of the 25 Big Boys built, only 8 survived the scrapyard torch, scattered in museums across the country. They were reminders of what was, but not what could be. While other, smaller steam locomotives thrilled crowds on heritage tours, the king of them all remained in a deep slumber. The dream of its return was kept alive by a dedicated community, but few truly believed it would happen. The giant sat silent for almost 6 decades, a period longer than its entire service life. It seemed its roaring voice, a sound that once echoed through the canyons of the West, would never be heard again. Then, the impossible began to happen. In 2013, Union Pacific stunned the railroad world by announcing it had reacquired Big Boy 4014. The plan wasn't just to move it or give it a cosmetic touch-up. The plan was to bring it back to life. Union Pacific intended to fully restore 4014 to operating condition in its own steam shop in Cheyenne, Wyoming. This was an undertaking of monumental proportions. The first challenge was simply moving a 1.2 million pound locomotive that hadn't turned a wheel in half a century. A complex multi-day operation in early 2014 carefully pulled the locomotive from its museum home and onto the main line for a slow tow to Wyoming. Once it arrived in Cheyenne, the real work began. A dedicated team of steam-era veterans and younger engineers, led by Ed Dickens, head of Union Pacific's steam program, began the painstaking 5-year process of disassembly and restoration. This wasn't a simple repair. It was a ground-up resurrection. Every single component, from the massive driving wheels to the smallest bolts, had to be inspected, cleaned, repaired, or completely remanufactured. The team essentially reverse-engineered parts from original 1940s blueprints, and even fabricated specialized tools to handle the locomotive's immense scale. One of the most significant tasks was converting the locomotive from a coal burner to run on No. 5 fuel oil. This was a practical necessity for modern operations, as it eliminates the risk of starting line-side fires with coal cinders and simplifies refueling logistics. The massive firebox and tender had to be completely reconfigured for the new fuel source. After years of relentless work, the moment of truth arrived. In May 2019, for the first time in nearly 60 years, a fire was lit in the belly of Big Boy 4014. Steam pressure slowly built, and then, with a hiss and a deep, resonant chuff, the 1.2 million pound giant moved under its own power. The king had returned. Its first official outing celebrated the 150th anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad, a fitting tribute to its own heritage. What makes a journey across the entire country possible for a machine of this size? The answer lies in the genius of its original design. The Big Boy is a masterclass in engineering, a perfect balance of brute force and surprising agility. At its heart, it is a 4884 articulated locomotive. This designation is key. The 4 represents the 4 wheels of the leading pilot truck, guiding the engine into curves. The 88 represents the 2 sets of 8 massive, 68-inch diameter driving wheels, each with its own set of giant cylinders. The final 4 is for the 4-wheel trailing truck, supporting the enormous firebox. The most critical feature is its articulation. The Big Boy is essentially 2 powerful locomotives under one massive boiler. The front engine is hinged to the main frame, allowing it to pivot independently from the rear engine. This design allows the nearly 133-foot-long locomotive to navigate curves. That would be impossible for a rigid-frame engine of its length. It's this very articulation that will allow it to wind its way across the diverse topography of the American continent. The power it generates is simply staggering. The boiler holds pressure at 300 pounds per square inch, turning thousands of gallons of water into superheated steam. This steam is fed into 4 enormous cylinders, each more than 2 feet in diameter. The result is a machine that produces a maximum of 135,375 pounds of tractive effort, the raw pulling force needed to get a heavy train moving. At its peak, a Big Boy could generate over 6,000 horsepower. Designed to haul a train of over 4,000 tons through the Rocky Mountains. The tender itself is an engineering marvel, carrying 25,000 gallons of water and thousands of gallons of fuel oil. This massive capacity allows the Big Boy to travel for significant distances between servicing stops, a crucial element for a journey crossing the vast stretches of the American landscape. While the heart of 4014 is pure 1940s steam power, its return to the modern mainline was only made possible by a groundbreaking technological upgrade. To operate safely alongside today's trains, the Big Boy had to be equipped with positive train control, or PTC. This is a complex GPS-based safety system that monitors a train's position and speed and can automatically apply the brakes to prevent accidents. Initially, the PTC computers and equipment were housed in a trailing diesel locomotive, But in a major upgrade completed in 2024, the Union Pacific steam crew achieved another first. They made Big Boy 4014's PTC system fully self-contained. They ingeniously installed all the necessary computer equipment in a cabinet inside the tender, allowing 4014 to operate independently without a diesel helper providing its electronic eyes and ears. Inside the cab, a modern PTC monitor is mounted amidst the traditional brass gauges and steel levers. This screen provides the engineers with a constant stream of real-time data, a seamless fusion of 21st century digital precision with 20th century mechanical might. This digital heart makes the 2026 tour not just a nostalgic dream, but a safe, viable reality. Which brings us to 2026, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States. Union Pacific has announced that Big Boy 4014 will embark on its most ambitious journey yet, its first ever coast-to-coast tour. This is an event without precedent in the modern era. While the Big Boy has undertaken several successful tours of the West and Midwest since its 2019 restoration, it has never traveled the full breadth of the nation or ventured into the territory of the Great Eastern Railroads. Union Pacific CEO Jim Vena confirmed the plan. Quote, "We will celebrate our nation's 250th anniversary by bringing out Big Boy number 4014 to make history on its first ever coast-to-coast tour. The logistical challenges are immense. The locomotive's 1.2 million pound weight restricts it from certain bridges and tracks. That can't support its immense axle loading. The route must be meticulously planned to ensure the infrastructure can handle the giant. Because Union Pacific's network is concentrated in the western two-thirds of the country, a true coast-to-coast journey requires unprecedented cooperation with Eastern railroads. Vena has confirmed that discussions have taken place with Norfolk Southern to potentially host the Big Boy on its tracks for the eastern leg of the journey. This would be the first time 4014 has traveled in the East, since it was first delivered from the Alco factory in 1941. This collaboration would be a historic event in itself, a symbol of unity for the nation's semi-quincentennial celebration. While the specific route and schedule are still in the planning stages, the tour promises to be a rolling celebration of American history. The journey will connect communities from the Pacific to the Atlantic, giving millions of Americans a chance to see, hear, and feel this incredible machine in person. There is much speculation about the route, with many hoping for a symbolic homecoming to Schenectady, New York, where the Big Boy was originally built. Regardless of the exact stops, the tour will be a moving museum and a thundering reminder of the industrial power that built America. Behind the steel and steam of Big Boy 4014 is its most vital component: the people. The locomotive doesn't run itself. It requires a dedicated and highly skilled crew. The Union Pacific Steam Team, based in Cheyenne, are the guardians of this legend. They're the ones who spent years breathing life back into the cold steel. And they're the ones who operate it on the mainline today. Operating a steam locomotive of this complexity is a physically and mentally demanding job. The cab is a hot, loud, and intense environment that requires constant communication between the engineer, who controls the throttle and brakes, and the fireman, who manages the fire and boiler pressure. They aren't just running a machine, they are managing a living, breathing entity, where every sound and every vibration tells them something about the engine's health. This team is a unique blend of old-world knowledge and new-world skill. They are mechanics, engineers, electricians, and historians, all rolled into one. They're responsible for everything from the grueling daily lubrication of hundreds of points on the massive running gear to navigating the complexities of the PTC system. The 2026 tour will be the ultimate test of their endurance and expertise. Their passion is the true engine of this entire endeavor, a commitment to preserving a critical piece of American heritage for future generations. The Big Boy is more than just a locomotive. It is a 1.2 million pound symbol of American ambition, power, and ingenuity. It was born in a time of conflict to serve the nation, retired when technology moved on, and was brought back to life by the sheer will of a dedicated few. Its upcoming coast-to-coast journey in 2026 is more than just a train ride. It is a celebration of 250 years of American history, a tribute to the railroads that built the nation, and a bridge connecting our industrial past with our technological present. As it thunders across the country, it will carry with it the stories of the men and women who designed, built, and operated it. It is a living piece of history, and for the first time, it will belong to the entire nation, from sea to shining sea. If you are as excited as we are to see this legend make its historic trek, make sure you're subscribed for updates as the official route and schedule are released. For the latest news directly from the source, you can join the official Union Pacific Steam Club to be notified first. What part of this incredible journey are you most excited about? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.